Goal! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of Goal!
Now
This is our life.
Blue, and I'm going to have to do CPR on you.
So we just watched Spain v. Uruguay.
Oh, you left the remote control way over there, didn't you?
Oh, I'll get it for you in a second.
Well, then try and turn it.
Spain won. Yeah! The only thing about English language announcers is they don't say, "Go!" But if I watch Spanish language, I don't understand it anymore. So it's like...
Yeah, so what do you do?
Yeah, so, you know, you have to...
Danged if you do, danged if you don't.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, in the... Uruguay was doing bad for,
Yeah, they got one.
Yeah, they scored once. But then it's like, toward the latter part of the match, they started playing good defensively. Not offensively, but defensively. The only reason Uruguay scored is because they had a free kick. Otherwise, I don't think they would have scored.
They tripped over their feet.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, some of the fouls that Uruguay did against Spain, that one in particular toward the end, I'm like, come on! He kicks him and trips him, come on! Spain should have got a free kick. But, and then Spain had that one free kick and it went nowhere close to the freaking goal. I'm like, you have to be better than that. But anyway, so the only sport that I get into, okay, I'll tell you a story. The way my father came to the United States. My father played for the Victoria Wolf Rats football club in Canada. It's no longer, it's gone, it's not around anymore. Back in those days, you wore boots, not shoes. And anyway, see, my dad had worked on, my dad was a merchant marine, and he had worked on American ships and Canadian ships and English ships, and ships under all sorts of flags. And he said he liked the Americans most because the Americans would teach him and they would let him try things, you know,
He wasn't stuck in a dead end.
Yeah.
No, basically.
Yeah, so he said, you know, I want to go and I want to work, I want to be an American, I want to work with Americans on American ships. So he said, well, how do I get to Seattle? You know, I mean, how can I get to Seattle? And he said, well, you know, I could go and say that I have a football match in Seattle. So he crosses the frontier, the border, from Canada to the United States, and the border guards are like, well, where do you think you're going, boy? And he said, well, I have a match in Seattle, sir. And they're like, no, you don't. He said, sir, yes, I do. Well, we're playing so-and-so. Okay, go ahead. And then when he got out of sight of the border guards, he threw all his stuff away. And he went to the Merchant Marine Hall and signed up, and that's how he became an American. Well, that's was the beginning of him becoming an American. He worked as a merchant marine for a while, and then the United States government found out he was in the country illegally, and they told him he had to either register for the draft or go back to Canada. Well, what he did was he joined the United States Army, which wasn't, I mean, it's not like he had served in World War II in Canadian service in the North Atlantic, but so it's not like he was completely oblivious to what he was getting himself into. But he went into the U.S. Army Infantry, and then he didn't tell the military that he had, you know, he was a stoker. A stoker is a ship's engineer, the guy who works on the engines. If you saw Titanic, the movie, there's a scene where they're running through the engine room, and they're screaming, "Stoke the fires!" or something like that. They were shoveling coal into the fires, and that's what my father was. He had his ticket. His ticket is like certification or whatever. Happy Father's Day, Dad, and thank you, Gabby, for calling and saying Happy Father's Day. But anyway, so he was a stoker, and he didn't tell the government he was a stoker. but they found out, and they asked him, "Why didn't you tell us that?" And he said, "Because I'm an immigrant, and I feel that the best job should go to native-born Americans." And they said, "Well, we really don't care what you think or how you feel. When we tell you something, when we tell you to do something, you do it." So anyway, so he wound up being transferred into the Navy with a commission. So he stayed in the Navy for a few years, and then he went back into the Army. But anyway, so yeah, my dad played football, and we just watched a FIFA or FIFA match, and hey, one of the announcers was saying it would be really cool if Spain and Brazil were in the World Cup. I'm telling you, if Spain and Brazil are in the World Cup, that is going to be the match of the century. I mean, that would be fabulous. Although I know Brazil, in Brazil they have some of the greatest footballers in the world. So I'm like, it kind of scares me, to be honest with you, because Spain might not win that one. But I'm wondering if, I don't know where Ireland is. I don't know if Ireland is in the running for World Cup this time around or not. I would hope so. I mean, they have some really good footballers from County Kerry, where my family's from. But anyway, so I'm excited Spain won.